Ladies and gentlemen, this session will focus on the challenges and opportunities of scaling up green hydrogen projects through cross-border cooperation, investment, and innovation. And I'm very privileged to have with me for this conversation Mr. Thorsten Herden, HIF EMEA Chief Executive Officer. Let's please give him a round of applause as he's joining me on stage. We are also welcoming Mr. Philippe Christiani, partner at Copenhagen Infrastructure Partners, CIP. Let's also give him a round of applause. Welcome to you, sir. Yes, here. Oh, hi.
Want me here or this one?
Yes, I will sit here. We are less in this panel. HIF, yeah, okay. We are also welcoming for this panel discussion Mr. Tilzeno Malat, who is head of green hydrogen and derivatives at OCP Group. Let's please give him a round of applause. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming to the stage the General Manager of Huawei Morocco Digital Power, Mr. Jadzao Ligang. Let's please give him a round of applause. Thank you so much. Also joining us today, Mr. Driss Brahou, who is Vice President, Business Development, Green Hydrogen at Aqua Power. Welcome to you, sir. We are also welcoming Mr. Eric Festa, who is EVP Business Development at TEH2, Total Energy and Eren Group. Let's please give him a round of applause. Welcome to you. And we are also welcoming with us Mr. Yassin Haddawi, Director General of CDG Invest. Let's please welcome him as he's making his way to the stage. Thank you so much. Welcome to all of you, and thank you so much for your time. We appreciate you being with us here today. Before we dive into our conversation, we have received a video from Jorgo CHATZIMARKAKIS, the Chief Executive Officer of Hydrogen Europe. Let's watch the video and then dive in. Thank you.
Thank you for the invitation to address the World Power to X Summit in Marrakesh. And it's a pleasure to see that also on behalf of His Majesty, this event happens. And I've already witnessed many times the big interest of the Moroccan government into hydrogen, its derivatives, its carriers. It's also a pleasure to address this meeting as a European, knowing that the EU, knowing that the European Union will be one of the main markets of hydrogen and many derivatives, and Power to X is nothing else than a synonym for the use of hydrogen and the processing into different forms of carriers that will be really important for our European markets. The proximity of Morocco to the Iberian Peninsula and the existing pipelines already give us an idea of how this trade between Northern Africa, and Morocco is also Western Africa, and Europe will play a role in the future. Maybe you have seen the recent IEA report, International Energy Agency, where the global situation of hydrogen is depicted quite well. Roughly 100 million tons of hydrogen being used already. Of course, not low carbon, of course not renewable. That needs to be done, and that's the low-hanging fruit. But you might also have seen the map showing the globe and showing the hydrogen projects all over the globe. It's fascinating to see as a European that there are plenty of small but really, really important projects all over the continent. And then you see hotspots. And Western Africa, Northwestern Africa, especially Morocco, but also Mauritania, to say it clearly, are big, big centers of future hydrogen production. And of course, the usual suspects, the US, Japan, and Korea, also China. And interestingly, India plays a role, of course, South Africa, and also the Gulf area. Ladies and gentlemen, we need to develop in the next years certification schemes, standards that will make the on-site production and the export of hydrogen very, very easy to understand. This market, this upcoming market, needs our collaboration, and it's good to see that you put your heads together, you put your ideas together in order to get it done in the Power-to-X market. As Hydrogen Europe, we try to play a role on a global standard creation, especially using also the International Hydrogen Trade Forum, and next COP in Azerbaijan will be the next opportunity to discuss all that together. I wish this summit the best success, and be assured that we will use your exchange of views and the results of your discussions also in our work. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Jorgo, Chief Executive Officer from Hydrogen Europe. Thank you for your insights. Gentlemen, we'll go for 2 rounds of questions with around 2 minutes for the sake of time allocated for each response. I'll start with you, Mr. Thorsten Herden. HIF EMEA is the European, Middle Eastern and African division of HIF Global, a leader in the development of carbon neutral fuels, also known as e-fuels. Building on the discussions from panel 2, what's your perspective on what strategies we need to encourage off-takers to ramp up the green hydrogen economy?
Thank you very much, and I'm glad to be here again in Marrakesh. I think we first have to understand that hydrogen and the hydrogen derivative is a complete different animal. So an airline company doesn't need hydrogen yet, they need jet fuel. A fertilizer company can do nothing with jet fuel. They need ammonia. And so what it needs is that we understand what is the need of the off-taker and what's the willingness to pay. And the willingness to pay, there are 3 major parts. The one is the calorific value of the, call it, fuel, as it is with oil and gas right now. The other one is to meet regulation which forces them to reduce CO2 emissions. And this has a value, and that value is increasing over time. And the third one is the voluntary value, meaning that shippers have an interest that they can prove that, like Amazon or others, are transporting their goods in a CO2 neutral way. And if we understand that, and if we take ourselves in the eyes of the off-taker and not in the producer only, then we need how to address them. And then there is a very big part in the equation. If we want to ramp up, then governments have to assure, and that was also said in the panel too, that there is a price for the CO2. Because otherwise we are competing with the new, call it e-fuels, and I don't care what it is at the end of the day, with the oil and gas. And that will not work in the ramping up period. And if it comes down to Morocco, and that were the many discussions we also had this morning, Morocco has the big opportunity to really harvest the brilliant renewable resources, be it wind, be it sun, we all know that. And now we have to make, or the Moroccans have to make it easy, pragmatic, and fast. And if we do it that, then Morocco can play the most important role in delivering the cheapest e-fuel to the shipping sector, to the aviation sector, to the chemical sector, if we're talking in olefins. But we always, and also the governments, have to understand what is the need of the customer. So look it with these eyes.
Thank you so much, and we'll get back to you to get more on your perspective on how Morocco can position itself as a key player in the energy transition. Moving on to you, Mr. Yassine Haddaoui, CDG Invest is an investor and a manager of private equity funds that addresses major stakes and challenges in the Moroccan economy. Morocco is charting an ambitious roadmap for the development of green hydrogen. What role can public-private partnerships play in accelerating this roadmap? And additionally, how can we structure financing to support these large-scale projects effectively?
Thank you, Manal, for these questions. Two important questions, hard to address in 2 minutes, but I'll try. First, a few words on CDG and CDG Invest. We are a public investor, and we manage private money, private savings. So we have very much appetite in investing in the whole value chain of hydrogen, beginning in the infrastructure to the industry, and so the whole value chain is of interest for us, and we have different vehicles of investment to address each part of this value chain. As a group, we are also having great appetite to finance with debt instruments, and also to facilitate the installation of industries on the whole value chain, because we are one of the biggest operators of industrial zones in Morocco. So this is, in a nutshell, what is our interest as CDG Group in the hydrogen space. Your question on the public-private partnerships is very important, because first, the Offre Maroc is first step of public-private partnerships. It had a great effect on the trust of all developers and all the actors of the I think it had a very good effect. We had a lot of interest in this offer. As you know, it's a dynamic offer. It will we'll have some further steps. There will be a step in gas pipeline, in electric transmission, and all these steps will involve a lot of public-private partnerships. So I think to answer to a short answer to a question, PPPs will be at the heart of the implementation of the whole Moroccan offer for the Power to X. The financing question is much more tricky, because it depends what you finance. The first goal of when you structure financing is to answer the question, how do I structure a value chain so that I can address or aim at the largest base of investors. So basically, if you try to finance something that is very much integrated, from renewable energy to water to electrolyzer to hydrogen, it's much more difficult to finance than if you cut some pieces. Obviously the part that is easier to finance is the renewable energy. So this is once again, it's a difficult question, but the first parameter is this one: how do you structure the financing? The second parameter is, what is the perceived risk? And I think, from what I understand from the different conversation we had, that the Offre Maroc, as it is now and as it will evolve, has very much participated to lower the risk perception of the all international access. So this is a very good thing. The third parameter is with whom you invest. And and we are, as a Moroccan institutional investor, we participate to lower to de-risk the perception of products. So I encourage all the actors to engage with us, have conversation, and so that we try to co-invest in all these projects.
Thank you so much. Reach out to Yassine Haddaoui during the networking session to make sure to explore these options. Mr. Eric Festa, TEH2 is a joint venture between Total Energies and Eren Group, developing large-scale green hydrogen projects worldwide, including in Morocco. You are leading the business development for this company. What are the key challenges in scaling green hydrogen projects, and how can collaboration address these barriers?
Yes, thank you, Manal, for this question, and thank you for having me on this panel to share the experience that we have at TEH2 in developing large-scale hydrogen projects. So yes, indeed, developing this type of project is a challenge, but let's look back at what we are trying to do there. We're trying to harness wind and solar energy and make it and transforming it into a molecule that we can then store, transport, and that can reach temperatures when we burn it of nearly 2,000 degrees. So it's really a feast of engineering that we're trying to achieve. So it comes with a number of challenges. Some of them are, to name a few, to be able to access land, vast areas of land, to be able to scale up these projects. But also they are very complex to design, to build, to operate, and they are very capital intensive. And as a result, the cost of producing the molecule is quite high, which means that there is a gap now between the cost of producing this molecule and the price that customers are prepared to pay to use this molecule. Hence the uncertainty in demand that we see today and that has been discussed extensively this morning. But to look on the bright side, there are a number of large-scale projects today being built, some of them starting to produce. So these, as we know, are located in Saudi Arabia, in China, in India, some of them in Europe. So we're talking about hundreds of megawatts or gigawatt scale. And if we look at it closely, we realize that these projects are being built in areas where they benefit from some sort of facilitation in terms of land access and permitting. They benefit also from some sort of incentive, whether they are tax breaks or grants provided by the host country. And sometimes also they benefit from having local offtake, which also help in building the value chain. So when it comes to collaboration and the importance of collaboration, I think, yes, clearly we need to be able to have strong collaboration first between governments and their agencies and developers, private companies that are developing this project, to be able to facilitate access to land, to facilitate access to the grid, to facilitate permitting. Second, we need also a strong collaboration between developers and OEMs to be able to come up with cost-effective solutions, innovative solutions, whether they are technological, or commercial, to bring down the cost of this project, and also to build the ecosystem around it, which will facilitate that. And finally, because these large-scale projects are somehow also a bit geopolitical, there needs to be some sort of collaboration or some support between the government on each side, on the production side and on the receiving side, to create and to foster the type of, the birth of this type of large project. So I think the companies that are really best placed to do this are those that have a large global outreach and also have a large industrial footprint to leverage all these different partnerships and collaborations.
Thank you very much, Eric. Moving on to you now, Dries. ACWA Power is a leading developer, investor, and operator of power generation that plays a key role in advancing clean energy solutions across the Middle East, Africa, and Asia. One of the notable projects in Morocco is the Noorwarzazat Solar Complex. You lead the development team in charge of green hydrogen. How can public-private partnership help fast-track green hydrogen development on a global scale?
Thank you for the question, and good afternoon, everyone. So very happy to be here again in Marrakesh for the Power2X Summit. And please bear with us. We know we stand between you and lunch, so we'll try not to bore you too much. So I mean, I've heard a lot of points around challenges associated with those green hydrogen and derivatives projects. It is true, it's complex, takes time, takes a lot of capital, it's not easy, but there is still some good news. It can be done. And we are quite honored to be, together with our joint venture partners, Air Products and NEOM, to have the first large-scale green ammonia project under construction today, and we hope to have the first molecules flowing by 2026 in Saudi Arabia. So it can be done. Now, what do we need? We don't need a lot, and we need as little government intervention as possible, quite frankly, because there's a lot the private sector can deliver. However, there are a few things that we cannot avoid getting from the government. And the first one, I think, has been mentioned quite a few times. At the end, it's the resource. And there is no project that can be started without having a clearly identified resource that can be developed. And when it comes to renewable-based project, the first thing is the land. These projects are land-intensive. And we're talking about vast amounts of land. And the reality is that, especially in this part of the world, the government is the only institution that is able to mobilize the land and manage the issues associated with mobilizing such large amounts of land. When I say issues, it's about, of course, land ownership, being able to mobilize it, make it available for such developments, but as well support the developers in addressing those typical challenges that we see in very large-scale facilities, starting with environmental issues, social issues. Wherever you go, you will find people. And of course, you have to engage with those people, ensure that they are heard, that they are engaged, and that they see value in those projects over the next 30 or 50 years, that this facility will be there standing, even if it looks like it's in the middle of the desert. So that is very key. And this is where we tend to be a little bit weak as a private sector, and where the government has a lot to play. I've heard a lot about common infrastructure. We don't like this concept a lot, I have to admit, common infrastructure. Where it's available already, that's great, and we love to leverage that. Grid, roads, ports, these are big investments that are difficult to carry most of the times, and of course, if they are available already, it's good. Now, if we have to wait for this infrastructure to come, this is where it becomes a bit more problematic for project developers, because we fall into a bit of chicken and egg issue. Governments are waiting for projects to be real to make the investments. We are waiting for the infrastructure to be there, and it's a never-ending cycle. So we tend to take the view that for as much as possible, either we try to look at areas where infrastructure is readily available, or where we can build it on our own, make it a full end-to-end solution, and have it all part of the scope of the project. An example again, in the context of Saudi Arabia, we're building the power plants, the grid, substations, the port, the export terminal as well, the storage facilities, everything as part of the single project and being financed in one go. And we'd love to be able to replicate the same scheme across the other projects where we are looking at. But of course, again, government needs to support where it's relevant to enable that to happen.
Thank you so much, Dries. You've raised so many points there, and we'll try to unpack them together. Philip, CIP is a leading global investment firm focused on renewable energy infrastructure. How can industry leaders align their strategies to support the global green hydrogen economy?
Thank you very much. Can you hear me? Very good. So, again, thanks for letting us be in the panel and have this discussion today. So, as we referred to a couple of times during this discussion today, these projects will be difficult. They are now much smaller than they were a couple of years ago. They are much more pointed towards certain offtake sectors. We discussed some of them during the discussions today. It's much more clear what we have to produce and where we have to sell it. And to be honest, it's also by now relatively clear what it will cost. And I'll build on what Dries said and probably argue that these projects can be built. We are building, or we're working on 4 of these in Europe. One is almost FID'd and 2 will be FID'd in the coming 24 months. So I will argue with Dries, this can actually be done. But it can only be done with collaboration, and especially in locations like Morocco, we have to start sharing some of the many complex elements of the projects. We can only get the infrastructure done if we collaborate. We can only get the ports done if we collaborate. We can only get the overhead lines done if we collaborate. And then the beauty of being on a panel is you don't have to agree with all your co-panelists. So we are very fond of governments building infrastructure, and I wanted to bring one more positive piece of news today. This morning, the Danish government announced the construction of a hydrogen pipeline from Denmark to Germany. It may seem like a small thing. In the bigger scheme of things of the development of the North Sea, it is actually a big step on the way that we're now connecting the offshore build-out in the North Sea with hydrogen consumers in northern Germany. Thank you.
Thank you so much for sharing that with us, Philip. Mr. Jadzao, Ligang, how can digital technologies accelerate the deployment and scalability of green hydrogen solutions, particularly to optimize energy efficiency, promote green integration, and enhance smart infrastructure for global hydrogen projects?
Okay, thank you for the question. First of all, that I would like to talk about some of the challenges that was mentioned by the previous ones before. Actually, as we all know, nearly around 20 years ago, Morocco started about this Morocco airline. So it is makes Morocco became like the center of the transportation, like a hub of the transportation. Around 10 years ago, that we started about all this financing industries in Morocco, like TGRE and BU, Bank of Africa, those ones. Then once again, it makes Morocco like a kind of hub for on the financing sectors. So these years again, and based on the great potential of the renewable energy, so I do believe that it is not only a hub of the renewable, but also the hub for the green hydrogen in the future for Morocco. That's a definite answer. So I do believe that, as what has mentioned before, those efforts should be made on the government level, even on the financing sector level. It could be done by the Morocco government, and those big stuffs it could be done on the government level. So on our technology provider level, and also that we are trying all of our efforts to make the best of the technologies, to make the best of the applications in those green hydrogen plants, and then try to make it more economic and more profitable. So before committing any figure or any investments, I do think that the investors, they can always think about if it is the best optimal plant or the best technology or not. They're going to think about that. Well, how about the return on the investment? And they're going to think about that if there is a risk or safety problems on the plant. So nowadays, on the technology provider level, we have started some of the projects end to end with some of the developers in Middle East, and not only on the renewable plants, but also sometimes touching the green hydrogen. Because the green hydrogen, honestly speaking, the green hydrogen is just it is a start of the industry. We don't have all the simulations yet, but on the renewable part, that we can say in a proud way that we have developed a lot of digital twins modeling, and then to input all the parameters from the very beginning of the design, of the simulation, of the yield, when we input all of this into the modeling, and then it gives the best optimal configuration of the plants. So in this case, that those digital twins tools can reduce the capex nearly around 10 to 20%, and also that it saves the risks during the implementation, during the plant's yield phase for around another 20 to 30%. So I think this is the first layer on the complete design. Then the second thing, that it is related to the monitoring, and it is related to the monitoring and the management. So there are a lot of solutions and a lot of equipment included on this, from PV to the electrolyzer, and then even to the transportation and the other things. And so ever since the very beginning of the PV and on the productions, or even the wind productions, on the renewable productions, so there should be all kinds of digital technologies embedded into the solutions nowadays. It is not it is very popular, and I do really think Huawei is one of the top ICT players, that we have embedded all of our ICT technologies into those equipment to make it more efficient. So in this case, that's the efficiency, the power efficiency. It is around 4% more yield than the normal industry level. That is the first. And then also secondly, that on those storage, on those electrolyzer stuffs, and when you want to monitor the real production efficiency on the hydrogen, and even on the pipelines, those things that we have developed some of the IoT solutions, and then to put the sensors next to all the production and the pipelines, and then to monitor all of this production on daily basis in real time. So the system can feedback that if it is compared with the history, compared with the forecast on the weathers and such things, it can predict if it is the biggest production or not.
Thank you.
This is mainly how we are developing.
Thank you very much for sharing your perspective with us. I'd like to move on to you, Till. You are the head of green hydrogen and derivatives at the OCP Group. The OCP Group has been at the forefront of the sustainability journey in the industry, showing the way to many industries in Morocco. Based on the OCP's green strategy, how does OCP see collaboration and the importance of collaboration to scale up green hydrogen solutions worldwide?
Thank you, Manal, and thank you for having me on this panel. Partnerships are very important to us. It's really a question of collaboration. As it has been said, I mean, the opportunity that Morocco has in developing green hydrogen and derivatives is huge. It's enormous, and there's a lot of space for different players and different players of the value chain. This is overall speaking. I mean, how we see it is like, it's not only developing large-scale green hydrogen and ammonia production. So we have a target of producing 3 million tons of green ammonia by 2032. But this is not the only thing. It's actually going beyond this. We aim at developing ecosystems upstream and downstream, which actually brings another opportunity, and also it's part of the competitiveness that we try to achieve for OCP, and at the end of the day also for the Moroccan green hydrogen and ammonia sector. This means like upstream. When I speak about upstream, this means like the manufacturing of equipment in Morocco. It's not only manufacturing, but also developing technology, speaking about electrolyzers, speaking about PV, speaking about batteries. So these are different fields where we see large opportunity, and not only for OCP, but this is important in partnering with international and local players to develop those industries, to be competitive, but also to be less dependent on international supply chains. As an outlook, I mean, we can expect like once this long list of projects that are being developed, once they come online, once they become actually, once there are final investment decisions, there might actually be shortages on those equipment supply, and we want to hedge against this. This is on the upstream, and then on the downstream, what we call downstream ecosystem, the opportunity to develop actually an industrial platform in Morocco using this green competitive energy that we will produce, right? So it can be actually fertilizer production, which is our core business, obviously. But beyond this, you can look into SAF that you mentioned. There is the question of iron reduction that you can do in Morocco. You can use energy for aluminum production, and not speaking about the decarbonization and the energy transition of the Moroccan economy itself. So huge opportunity here, and again, this is where we see partnerships. It's not that one player can do it on their own. It's actually the opposite. It's really like developing partnerships on technology, on manufacturing, and also on offtake and downstream industries.
Thank you so much, Till, for sharing this perspective with us. Now for the final round of this panel discussion, and because I want to make sure to give enough time for you and for the audience to get some lunch before the workshops and the events happening this afternoon. Again, there is a solid agenda waiting for you this afternoon and tomorrow morning. I'd like to offer each one of you one final message, a key message you would like to leave us with, and we'll start with you, Eric, and go this way. So one key message you would like to leave us on this topic. Thank you.
Yes, okay. Okay, my key message will be that, and maybe to come back on the mutual infrastructure or shared infrastructure, to differ maybe with the view of my neighbor panelist to my right, Idriss, that I think what we need for Morocco is not one single infrastructure for each project, but we need to mutualize, because in fact, you know, there are areas around Gelmim, there's area around Dakhla, but we need to have mutualized infrastructure for each of these areas to make sure that I don't think Morocco wants to have a number of ports and a number of facilities for each project. So I think that's where collaboration is important also.
Thank you so much, Eric. Appreciate that. Infrastructure then. Idriss Barahou, in one sentence, what would be your key message you would like to leave us with?
We need to move relatively fast. I know it's a bit counter-cyclical to what has been discussed earlier today, to the fact that there is no market, nobody is willing to pay. But the reality, there is a market, it's a nascent market. And whomever wants to position itself into that market, I mean, this window is fairly narrow. So before 2030, whatever is the market, I think that in order to position oneself, it's very important to move fast to position itself. There is a lot of very interesting stuff happening in Asia, for example, as far as the demand is concerned, and ensuring that first projects are positioned for Morocco towards those markets is very key to ensure that Morocco is on the right foundations for whatever is going to happen post-2030 when things really scale up.
Thank you so much, Idriss. Mr. Jadzao, maybe one key message, one sentence on digital technologies.
Okay, all right. So as Huawei, we've been here in Morocco for more than 20 years, and also that we all know that on the renewable skills and also the green hydrogen, China is one of the pioneer on this sector too. So Huawei as like a kind of a mixed roles located in Morocco nowadays. We would like to help all of our ecosystem players and to actually ever since the very beginning, from the financing until the consulting and until the construction and EPC works, and also the providers. Yeah, we are taking a small role. We are taking part of the role out of the whole ecosystem. But however, our linking with all these roles are quite solid. And anything or any project in Morocco, we would like to bring the full ecosystem, the full value chain together to participate, to concrete, to create our value on it. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Jad. Till maybe a final word on the green nitrogen that OCP will be producing.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, there's the offtake is a big question, right? I mean, this is a question that we have, and obviously as OCP, we have an own need for green ammonia. This is something we'll produce and then offtake. But more generally speaking, I think there's a question like having different players partnering, in a sense like there's a need for offtake for different projects, which is something that is true for all large-scale projects that are being developed. At the same time, having the link to financial partners who look for offtake, so to have an interesting financing cost. I think this is an area where people need to play together and sit together and find solutions for this question.
Thank you very much, Till. Thorsten, what would be your key message?
I may make 1.5 key messages. The first one is very much, it's not only possible, we already do that. We produce since N22 e-fuels down in Chile, and Porsche is using that for the Mobile One Cup just before the Formula One race. They are running fully on our fuel, so we do that. Second, that's the main key message, maybe also from Morocco. What we are doing right now here with the hydrogen offer, this has nothing to do with the oil and gas business, nothing. It's totally different. We are not depleting anything, nothing. And what we have to do to understand, and I think Morocco can pave the way there, we have to reduce the upfront cost as much as possible. So if we're talking on land fees, royalties, forget about all of that, because we only can succeed in Morocco if we supply the cheapest product for the market. Morocco is competing to other countries in the world. So upfront cost down and then share the power to job engine, as Minister Mansour was saying this morning, then this will work.
Thank you very much. Thank you for your insight. Philip, your final word.
I'll be this time in support of DRIS and say that the regulation is out there. The demand may not be fully there yet, but we think it will be there by 28. So it's all about moving forward now. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Mr. Yassine Haddaoui, the final word to wrap up this panel. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. I would say as a conclusion that the absolute priority of Morocco is to decarbonize its current activities, current economy, and it's an absolute priority. So I think the opportunity of Power-to-X is a way to accelerate this decarbonization, but still the absolute priority is to decarbonize the actual activity of the Moroccan economy and to accelerate this decarbonization. And for this we need the electron, not yet the molecule, but first the electron and then the molecule.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Thank you all for your insights. We appreciate your expertise. Apologies again for speeding up the pace, but I want to make sure that you get some networking and lunch before the afternoon sessions. We kindly invite you to join us for a group photo. Thank you so much. Let's give them a round of applause. Ladies and gentlemen, a few reminders before we all go for lunch around the pool. This afternoon and tomorrow morning, there will be breakout sessions and many plenaries, as well as side events. So please make sure that you check your app to check the location. So there are 2 locations. Some of them will be happening here and others